Thank you very much.
And good luck with the panel.
I'd like to invite also the guests of this panel. Thank you very much. Have a seat. So, good afternoon, everyone. Investments, we talk a lot about investments here in the whole event. Everyone wants money for development. So we're going to talk about this. First, I'll introduce the guests of the panel. Nikolai Adamovitch, representing Commercialization Reactor. Chris O'Connor, representing the NATO Innovation Fund. Tomasz Palacz, representing the Polish company Liftero. And Irbins, representing the education tech company Orbit8. And he's also a space enthusiast and a huge motivator. We talk a lot about investments because really we need to attract money. I'm going to ask you just 2 questions, and your answers will be very important because I might be using them also for the future mission of the development of the space sector and in Latvia and beyond. So each of you will have the same question. I ask you to take maybe 2-3 minutes to answer the question. The first one, very popular. Why do we have to invest in space? And I'd like to start with Paul's.
Okay.
Please, Paul, in your opinion, why do we have to invest in space? Please pitch this.
Yeah, so we don't invest in space, actually. We invest here on Earth to get things done and solve the problems that we have here on Earth. So I would say we have to invest in things that would help our lives here on Earth better, more fun, more interesting, using space. So I think we have to look at the space as just an ocean. Like a couple of hundreds of years ago, we used oceans to travel from one continent to another, and we had ships coming through the oceans and going in one harbor to other, bringing back goods, bringing back knowledge. So to me, space is just another way of looking at how we expand our human existence and mindset. So that's my quick answer.
So space should be fun. And space is the extension of our life on Earth, right? That's the pitch. Thank you. I'll take a note. I took a note of this. Please, your turn. What do you think?
All right. I don't think we have enough time to cover all the arguments to invest in space. But I think I have a 2-part answer to that. One, security policy. This was one of key messages of my prior speech here. So this is more like towards governments, I think, that space capabilities in general have become kind of non-optional right now, and I think in countries like Latvia or my home country Poland, it is especially important right now. So that's one. The second thing, I think basically good investment. I really would like more investors to understand where the space market is right now, that these are really early days. Okay, space industry overall was here for a while, of course for decades, and we did some magnificent space exploration missions and so on, but it was a bit of stagnating for a while, and now there's this new space revolution, and some even compare it to early days of internet. I don't know if that's not a stretch to compare it like this, but I think really that the market is very early, and it's a very good market bet because market will grow significantly. So investors who recognize this opportunity early on will capitalize on this later to reap the benefits of the investment. So. Doesn't matter where you invest in space. I think the market bet increases your likeliness of return on investment.
Super. So again, investment in space is actually investment in Earth. Should be fun, and this is an expansion of our life. Security policy, and we can await the significant growth of the space sector because apparently we are in the new space race, right? As you said, and doesn't matter where. Anyway, we'll grow. I guess part of your answer is already covered, the security policy, but please, maybe you could extend on this topic.
Yeah, happy to. And just to build on what you were saying, I couldn't agree more. I think there's this really interesting time right now where for a decade, maybe we've been promised this new space economy is going to take off, and I genuinely feel like it's really right at that beginning point right now because we're maybe 1 to 2 years away from launch becoming no longer a bottleneck in terms of both supply, in terms of cost to get a kilogram into orbit in space. With Starship coming online, with some of the other small launch providers coming online, I think launch will fade into the background as a bottleneck. That plus, I think there's just been a maturing of the economy in the supply chain for component manufacturers, subsystem and system manufacturers. Entire companies are built around just providing a bus to a company that can put a payload on it. And so it's allowing companies, I think, to focus on what their core capability is, as opposed to trying to do everything in space and having to vertically integrate entire spacecraft and mission operations and everything associated with it. And so I think those are a couple of things that are really going to start to unleash this explosion of new space, like you described at the very early beginnings of that. So from a commercial perspective, really exciting time to be investing in space. I think, as you alluded, from a security perspective, also an incredibly important time to invest in space. From a government perspective, space is the ultimate high ground. And so I think we need to be investing to protect that high ground from bad actors. I think because space is also so integrated into our society and such a big part of our infrastructure, it's not just government and military satellites actually that are at risk or that we need to protect. It's commercial versions of this, commercial communication satellites, other commercial assets in space, because it is so important to us as a society. Those are now at threat. And so we do need to do investments in areas that we can protect our space assets.
Chris, I have an extra question to you. You represent the NATO Innovation Fund, so I guess you see a lot of investments into the defense industry. And as we know, the first space wave actually started with the defense industry, and then, okay, there was no need for this extra defense capacity, so that should not here, but here. So the defense sector also stimulated the growth of the space sector. I don't know what's happening in defense funds right now, but doesn't mean that in the future, when this topic won't be that critical, doesn't mean that will be an extra push for the space sector, or you think defense will go somewhere else? What are your forecasts?
Yeah, I think right now we're kind of almost seeing the opposite of what you described, in the sense that the commercial sector is actually pushing the defense sector in space. The innovation is truly happening at speed and at scale in the commercial world, and I think defense and security is watching that and realizing that for decades, like you described, defense was sort of leading the way in these technologies, but that's no longer the case. And so they have to figure out how to work with commercial space companies and how to integrate commercial capabilities into more security capabilities. And I don't think that will go away anytime soon. I don't think defense will go away in space. If anything, I think it only becomes more important, more of a domain where you're going to see defense. But I think what's changing is defense and commercial having to integrate much better, because they're almost indistinguishable now, just because of how important space has become.
I see, indeed, I hear a lot of similarities between these two sectors, and apparently this is a real synergy. Nikolai, your turn.
Okay, question is why?
Why?
Because it's very close to us. This is first. Every investor prefers to invest close to his office. For audience, space is 100 kilometers only from us. Then it's begun. And therefore, it's very, very easy to invest such close distance, to be honest. But it's a joke, of course. So, but anyway, don't forget there are two streams, downstream and upstream. Upstream, it means technologies or solutions from already existed on the ground to the space, and some data, something what we can be done in space to Earth. And currently, please correct me, about 80% it's about downstream, probably. So, but anyway, it's solutions what we already have somewhere, and question is how to apply it to some industries and so on and so on. And there is another source of solutions, and very advanced solutions, and maybe you know about the boom in the States after lunar mission and so on, moon mission. So therefore, it's fit for thinking for all entrepreneurs, for all investors, to find some already existed, speaking about downstream, or probably something what again already existed, but will be used for some solutions space. And I agree, it's everything about us, about Earth.
I see and actually agree that the European space sector is very much about the downstream sector, so the data. And if you see the investment charts of the European Space Agency, where they invest the most, that would be satellite data, so that we can actually use space for the downstream industry, for benefiting from it. But I'm very surprised that none of you mentioned that space is important also because it innovates the new generations, the STEM generations, because what's exciting in childhood? Dinosaurs and space. And space would bring you also more STEM people. Kind of a punishment. Now, brace yourself, a teenage is coming. You will have to explain your answers to the next question to a teenager. So I would like to invite to the stage Emilia Zohore. Please, a round of applause. Please have a seat. Please have the microphone. And you guys have a nice question to challenge our guests. Please.
Okay. So here I have 100 euros in birthday money, and I would like to invest it in space. Where should I invest it in? And remember, please speak simply, because I'm only 11 years old, and I don't understand hard language.
Can I go
Wow.
first? Do you know what you are going to study, or what do you want to study in the future?
I think I want to study maybe design or fashion.
Cool. So here's my motivation for you. Invest in yourself. Become the best space designer there is on the planet. Set yourself a goal to design future habitats or design astronaut suits or astronaut clothes. And that's the best investment you could get. And then you would be the first Latvian space designer. How about that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I'll chip in. I like design too. Please.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Like, do you have friends, and do you like to, play with them? What do you play with your friends? Do you play any sports?
I don't really play with my friends. I usually play alone. Even if I play, then I play alone. I don't play with anyone else.
Okay, but imagine that you have friends and you play with them. And so I believe that investing in space is similar to playing with your friends. If everybody plays the game, then everybody can win. If nobody plays the game, then nobody can win. So it doesn't matter where you invest in space, as long as you keep investing.
Well, if not friends, you can see people you can trust who actually think very well, who do good maths and stuff, so you can check who to invest into. But no matter where, space will be space and will remain there. There's too much money involved, so we won't lose it. Okay. Next one.
Well, first of all, this is incredibly brave of you. There's no way at 11 years old that I would be getting on a stage in front of people to do this. So round of applause. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the way I would describe it is space is like a brand new country almost for us. And so think about investing in the things that we need here on Earth up there. So for example, building things. We build a lot of things here on Earth, right? Buildings and cars and other things. We need to do that in space too. And so we can invest in things, in building things in space. You got here probably by a car, right? And so moving around on Earth, we need to do that in space too. So investing in things that help move other things around in space is something very interesting. Getting to space. So if you look up and you see all of the things that are up there, we got it up there from a giant rocket that goes off and brings things up there. And so we need more things like that to bring more things up to space to do all of that. So those are some really I'd say, some interesting areas. And then also just the last one is, how do we know what's happening there? You know, we can see down on Earth. You can look out and you can see buildings and cars in space. That's very difficult to do from here. And so investing in things that help us see into space and what's happening there, I would say. Those are some good spots for you.
Would you accept this answer? Would you accept this answer? Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Nikolai, please.
It's really beauty if we speak about space. And yesterday I have heard one sentence very impressive for me. Probably you'll also accept. If somebody show you moon, all people split it for 3 categories. One is looking on finger, another is looking on the moon, and the third one looking on the stars. And please decide where you are and what do you prefer to look, probably to looking on the moon or on the stars. And having in account that, then you will decide then where to go.
Accepted?
Yes.
Well, I'm kind of listening too, because I guess for everyone, I'm kind of also thinking, for example, ministries also invest in space, and we have to think what exactly we want to do. So that's what I will not plagiarize, that's what you inspired from the answers. First of all, the advice is to invest into education, and education anywhere. So space is not only for space people, space is really for everyone. You want to study design? Do space. I also didn't study science. You can do space. Anything to add?
By the way, speaking about space design, recently we have specific courses together with Angelina, and one project was about space furniture. It's a real startup. It does furniture for sounds and so on, avoiding. But idea for space was to build particular furniture which will help to astronauts to be more comfortable in space station. It works for designer already.
Sounds very interesting.
Exactly.
I can introduce you to them.
Exactly. Everything we have here is applicable to space. So then going from education, where we have to invest, also, good point, space is actually a safe investment. No matter where you'll invest, it will grow. So just if you don't invest in space, that's a risk. That's what I got from your answer for me, for my management. What else? Again, space is transferable. Everything we have here is applicable to space. Again, as we heard again, that's actually my favorite topic, the knowledge transfer. I'm a fan. And then everything we do in space is, first of all, exciting, and actually for the Earth, right? And the beauty of space, I like the metaphor about the finger and the moon and the stars. So everyone chooses what to do for their own lives, because only we will feel our happiness, we will feel our pain. So you're responsible for yourself. So if you have a very good project, think about your future. So that's how I think everyone should think. And I think it's a good thing to help others to develop, because we want to live in a well-developed society. So it's about the community. Thank you very much. I actually got some ideas that maybe you'll be hearing from my next speeches in next year, or maybe in between. Emilia, huge thank you, because without you, I would have very complicated answers that I wouldn't understand. So you'll be my very important assistant. Thank you very much. We saved some time. Please applause. Maybe there is some questions from the audience. See, everyone understood everything. That's my formula of successful discussions. Thank you very much. Then maybe let's leave some time for the other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much.